All right, we should be live for our weekly show here on the Game Wisdom channel. I am Josh Placer, and as always, joining me is my co-host, indie game developer Sharky. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. And for a second there, I thought we were doing our other show, and I was like, "You about to come in?"
Well, we've been busy trying to find the time to get everything ready for our India Dev Survival Guide show. I think we're almost at the point where we're going to put together our respective first episodes soon.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that too.
Mm-hmm.
I still gotta work on the UI layouts for both of us on that, but I'm going to base them off of base yours off of the one that I made for you, and base mine off of the one that I made for me, which is very similar to the one I made for you.
All right. But it is the week of May 10th. We are ever so closer, inching towards summertime. And we're all still stuck inside. I did get one library who's interested in me doing a Zoom presentation next month, so I could have a very busy summertime once again.
No.
Still waiting to hear about book number 3. I'm starting to get a little nervous here.
Is your publisher? Have you checked into if your publisher's even open right now?
Well, I've been sending them emails and I have not heard anything back, so I don't know. I'm hoping that they are still open or they're still doing stuff.
Well, I meant they might be closed down for the pandemic.
And that'll, of course, be
There
my
might not
luck,
be.
right?
Yeah, I mean, there might not be anybody there to reply back to you.
But
I am too, Gersh.
But let's get into some of the stuff that's been going on. So I've been playing a lot of games and got a lot of them on sale. So I'm completely swamped. So have you done anything video game playing related wise?
Yeah, let me think. I've been playing more Disgaea, the original Disgaea, Disgaea 1. I have Disgaea, now Disgaea 1 it all the way through twice. Not 100% it, but beat the story through twice, kind of thing. And I'm currently working on getting my brand new rogue character that I named What is a Rogue? Because I had to. And getting him up and whatnot. Been playing some Oxygen Not Included now that I have 16 gigabytes of RAM and can actually get some FPS. I've been playing Bad North, which I recently bought, enjoying it, but like I don't know what it is. Like it's not like anything like I'm disliking about the game. Just something about it, like I can't play for long for some reason on it. It's like I'll play 1, 2, 3 maps or whatever, and then it's like I'm done, kind of thing. Let's play something else. And I don't know what it is because like I can't really find anything I dislike about the game. It's just not holding me for any kind of long-term sessions, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I felt the same way about it too. That good game, but I don't think there's a lot of meat to the gameplay. That it's something that you play in like 5 minutes, you've seen everything the game has to offer, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not a casual experience, but it kind of gives you that, 5-minute casual kind of, like, experience kind of thing, even though it's not really.
And that's always that. I think this goes with that topic we were talking about last night during the Saturday night show, that, how far do you streamline something before you kind of remove the depth of it?
Well, I don't think that has anything to do with streamlining. But, like, streamlining, like, you can go overboard with streamlining and actually affect the mechanics of the game, and that would be something I wouldn't suggest. But the main bit of streamlining is the UI and the menus and the navigation and the tutorials and that kind of thing, and I don't think you can honestly go too far enough with that. More or less too far with streamlining those. And that's that's kind of the crux I was hitting at earlier the other night about the streamlining and how you can't go wrong with streamlining your UI and tutorial.
Yeah.
Now, dipping into your mechanics, yeah, that can very well be a mistake, but that's not streamlining. That's more like hollowing it out.
Yeah. I think we've seen like developers like we've played several games lately that just feel more like, as we said, like more like tech demos. That we have like a nugget of a good game concept, and then it just stopped right there.
Yeah, and I don't think that's I don't think most of them are streamlining it and hollowing it out. I think they're just newer developers and not putting more stuff in there to begin with.
Yeah. I mean, we saw that with the difference between that Star-Crossed versus a Skyrocket. That it's just a world of difference in terms of how each developer went around with their game design.
Yeah. That first one was that was painful. Second one was definitely not. Between the two, the second one was far, far superior, but definitely not my kind of game.
All right, but with that, let's get to some game news or things that's been happening this week. So, things seem to be winding up about Cyberpunk. They released some kind of more news announcements around it. And what do you think? You think that game is going to turn out to be a masterpiece, or you think it's going to be overblown?
Well, I mean, like, are we judging from the point of the mass audience, or are we judging from our own viewpoint?
I don't know. Let's go with our own viewpoints.
Own viewpoint? I have no clue. From the mass audience, it is definitely going to be a masterpiece. There's too much hype around it for people to not say that this is the best game ever after it gets done. But I think personally that it has a good potential to turn out really good. Like I had thought I was going to buy it on day one, and then until I heard the monetization thing, and now I'm waiting a while, probably 6 months, a year before I touch it, kind of thing. But I definitely am looking forward to it at this point. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Well, there's many articles from something developers said about their multiplayer mode and talking about wise monetization kind of thing. And so they said that the later, after everything is, kind of hit the fan and then spouted off and then finally coalesced into like a full news story, and people have gotten the fake crap out of there. They said, according to what information we got, is it's just going to be a regular single player game with no microtransactions or anything, but there is going to be a multiplayer mode that nobody was aware of, and there is going to be monetization on that. Supposedly, that's the coalition of what I've heard on it. But who knows how that's going to turn out? Like, it could, end up being where, yeah, it's planned like that, but when it releases, a week later, it has microtransactions in the single player. It has, loot boxes in the multiplayer. Like, there's many number of things that it could, end up as. I just know that is kind of what we've got right now as the status quo, which is worrying, which is the reason why I'm not going to buy it on day one. And it's why I'm going to wait and see. Not only wait and see for reviews and everything for people when they first get it, but wait and see to if the monetization model changes in the first 6 months. Because they can very easily add something in, change things.
Mm-hmm. And for me, considering my past track record, I'll probably get around to playing it when it's down to like what $5 in 8 years from now.
Why so long?
I didn't. Well, I'm not buying the game anywhere near full price after The Witcher 3 disappointed me, so it's going to take a long time for them to probably discount the game that heavily.
I never got into the Witcher series. never interested me, kind of thing. But Cyberpunk definitely heavily interests me.
Sounds like you're working on a cyberpunk infused game, right?
No, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Not working on a cyberpunk infused game that goes by Project Tried until it actually has its real name. Not at all.
Let's see. Anything else going on interesting wise? Well, we had a really great roundtable this past week with the adventure game developers. For a lot of people, and I'm trying to get some more of those schedules. Just trying to get developers locked down and get them on for a specific genre. That's going to be tough.
You're locking them down.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I think with that, let's get to our first topic, because I think it kind of relates to the news that's going on. And we'll talk about the messaging that goes into your marketing. And that will also lead into our second topic later, talking about pitching your game to publishers as well as to Kickstarter. So, kind of the somewhat big news this week was two announcements regarding some high-profile games. We had Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Mortal Kombat 11 getting their first kind of story DLC mini expansion. And both games have kind of had some trouble in terms of getting that message out to the consumer. Thank you, Zach. I think he just invented a new, sounds like a new fragrance there, new perfume.
Yeah.
And
Maybe.
So, the first thing with Mortal Kombat 11 is that they're pitching this as an expansion, story, whatever, and it's sounding like they're going to require people who've already bought the game to spend an additional $40 for it, while anyone who hasn't bought the game, I think can get it for maybe $10, $20 more with their quote-unquote complete edition. And this is very similar to what they did with Injustice 2, which I bought that while it was on sale from one of the sites for $10. And when I bought for $10, I bought their, I think, Ultimate Edition, not to be confused with their Legendary Edition, although I could be mixing up the terms there. And I got basically $110 of DLC for $10. So that is really great for me, but it kind of screws anyone who's been a long-time supporter of it. And it doesn't sound like from the marketing that they're really caring at all for their existing fan base. And then, on the other side of things, you had Ubisoft reveal their Assassin's Creed Valhalla gameplay trailer, which if you're listening to this right now, I did some air quotes there, which was, I think, 3 minutes of just pre-rendered footage, or cinematics, which is really gameplay there, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the whole Mortal Kombat thing, like that's not really marketing. That's more business side of things. The business of game dev. The whole Ubisoft thing, that is definitely marketing.
Mm-hmm.
To where they're putting out a false message out there to, hey, check out this pre-rendered cutscene. That is gameplay. No, it's not.
Mm.
But it is gameplay. No, it's not. But it is gameplay. No, it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I think that is technically false advertising, but I don't think that's on the level of false advertising that would be held against them in a court of law if you were to sue them, because I don't think that the court of law necessarily cares that it's phrased that this is a gameplay trailer. It's like it's a trailer. It's not doing anything wrong on its own. And then, the emphasis that you put it under, where the category you put it under was a gameplay trailer when it wasn't. I don't think they much care about that. FTC might, but I seriously doubt they would do anything about it, even if they wanted to.
But we have certainly seen developers mess up when it comes to the marketing of their games. If you remember the infamous, what was it, Mighty Number 9 advertisement they put out for it.
Oh yeah, Mighty Number 9 was that was a train wreck. That was a train wreck that was on the sideline watching 15 other train wrecks. And those train wrecks were watching another like 300 train wrecks. It was a train wreck inception, what that was.
Yeah.
They had so many issues. And I don't know exactly what all their issues were, but, I think they might have had a scope issue on their art, hence they downgraded the art. But they weren't going to market that downgraded art because they wanted to get all the sales, and they knew that the downgraded art wasn't going to get all the sales, so they kept on marketing the higher budget art that they couldn't afford. Or rather, they put, there's theories to why they couldn't afford it, because they had cartoons and all this other stuff they were making, and the money could have very well went to that. Not that they necessarily wasted the money directly, but rather misdirected it into something else that ended up flopping and wasting the money.
And remember when they did the Bloodstain trailer, that they had him basically say, "Oh, you complain about the lighting and the graphics? Well, we're changing it." I thought it was just funny there. And I'm glad, I think Draken brought up Pierre Molyneux, because whenever there's a discussion about over-promising or not delivering with your marketing of your game, Pierre Molyneux is summoned.
Don't forget, what's his name, from No Man's Sky.
Yes. But
He's
I think
the new Peter Molyneux.
We haven't heard from Pierre in a few years, so that could be the case.
Maybe he's the maybe they've done something sci-fi and cloned him and whatnot, and that's the headline.
But yeah, Pierre Molyneux has unfortunately been a developer who has always, what's that expression, reached higher than they could actually grasp, or something along those lines with his games. And the sad thing is that all his games have had some really great concepts to them, and then you play them and realize that it never develops more beyond that concept.
Yeah. There's definitely been some very interesting things that he's put out there, just never working out, really, as far as I know of.
I think other than like Populous and like the Bullfrog era, probably the closest would be maybe the original Black and White. But even that would be kind of a stretch. Maybe Fable. I think the first Fable was considered rated very highly.
Yeah. A lot of people are really into Fable. But, I think that's more because of an underserved audience. Just because like Bethesda games went kind of the same way. Yeah, everybody highly raved about those very buggy and broken games, but now that there's more options, people aren't highly raving about them anymore.
Yep. And it goes with that topic I'm worrying about with my infinite backlog that these days you have to wow people in order to get them to play your game. You can't. I think I use his line: simply existing doesn't make your game marketable or sellable anymore.
Yeah. And diving in, taking off of that and diving into kind of the more hardcore marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I've learned, more recently is that when you're marketing, there's basically two ways to market. Well, two ways that I know of. There may be more. I'm no expert in this. One way is if you already have an established audience. If you're AAA, if you've got somebody, you've got a Discord of thousands of people kind of thing. That kind of method. Or there's a kind of method when you have nothing or next to nobody kind of thing. And when you have a fan base in everything already, what you do in theory is you put out stuff that is decent to wow kind of thing, anywhere in that range, and you just drip feed it the entire time. You drip feed it, every couple of days or every day kind of thing. You just put it out there kind of thing. Where when you don't have, and the thing is those fan base already follow them. They're already there. They're already looking forward to what they're going to put out, meaning that they've already pretty much committed to buying it. But spinning up hype, every now and then throughout the entire development is good for them. Mm-hmm. Then when you have like somebody who is basically unknown, that's where you have to have a complete change. And you don't do this drip feed kind of thing. Yep. You take like the last 4 to 5 months before your release and you gather up all your WoW stuff. You're just hard hitting WoW stuff, and you just hit it constantly every day for that like 4 to 5 months. Which for that you need your game basically done. Yeah. Good news is the last 4 or 5 months before you release, the game better be almost done.
Yeah, you don't want to be still trying to figure things out in that period of time. And when you say that the 4 or 5 months, we're not referring to going on early access. We're referring to it's going to be 1.0 in that span.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and the time leading up to that, it's not don't market. It's just don't mass market kind of thing. Like make your devlogs, make your videos on your own channel, make anything that you got, kind of thing. Like, post to your own Discord, try to get people to join your Discord, that kind of thing. Don't not market during that time. Just don't mass market during that time. Like you can promote your website and get people to subscribe to your newsletter and that kind of thing. Like it doesn't mean don't market during that time. It means don't spend all your WoW stuff before you get to the end. You want to save your WoW stuff for the end in that case. Because you want to hit hard and heavy and constantly during that last 4 to 5 months. And if you expend that content getting up to that point, you may only have like the last like 2 weeks, and then your marketing campaign is just going right on its face.
Yeah. Now, if you're doing this as like an early access game, something that you're preparing long term, then I think the drip feed approach is better there. That you want to keep that awareness strong, because as we all know, if people stop caring about your game in early access, chances are it's going to be a failed early access game at that point.
Well, I don't know what the best technique would be for that, but if I were to make an educated guess kind of thing, what I would say is you kind of want to go with the all in approach, like when if you're unknown kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and you do all in for the best you've got for your early access version right before you release your early access version, and then you do your normal marketing before that kind of thing. So in other words, you treat your early access release date as your normal release date in the unknown kind of thing. And then after that, then you drip feed after that point, because marketing doesn't end when you release a game.
Nope.
But it definitely slows down generally.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wouldn't say generally it slows down. A lot of times, as long as the game doesn't fall flat on its face, it should increase over the next month or so, and then it'll slowly fall off, kind of thing, or something along that lines.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, eventually, like with any games, like you said, there is end lifespan for a game that at some point marketing is not going to help your game. Everyone who's bought the game has already bought it, and unless you're going to do something brand new or you're going to release expansion or DLC, putting the word out that your game is out there isn't going to help. But when you're, as you said, as you're preparing for the game to be released, and at that release period, you want to be hitting people with that stuff. Now, I've seen some indie developers that they'll do I did this amazing thing in my game this week. I'm going to put a screenshot up, or I'm going to put a GIF up, or anything like that. And I do think that helps. Again, I think the most important thing about marketing is that you can't go completely in the dark as an indie developer, as any developer. You need people, even when you're still starting out, even when you just have a basic idea, you need to have people know that you exist out there. Because, again, I've seen developers who, they will wait until, or they'll do very little stuff. They'll maybe do like a video every 3 months, maybe a news update every 2 months. The game comes out and nobody knows who they are, and they're left scratching their heads as to, why does anyone know what my game is?
Yep. I mean, you don't want to not market. You have to market. But, if you're unknown, you want to keep the WoW stuff at your chest and market with the other stuff. Market with really good, market with your good stuff and your prototypes and stuff like that. Market on your own channels, but save your WoW stuff.
I think when we say WoW stuff, we're referring to kind of the major trailers. This is like when you get into the point where you're actually spending money on marketing. That you have your full cinematic trailer, or you've put together, a 2-minute sizzle reel that shows all the most exciting parts of your games. That stuff, you want to wait until you know concretely what's happening with your game. Like, if I know that at the rate I'm going, I will finish my game in 1 month from now, let me get that WoW stuff out immediately. But don't put it out and then go, wait, is this game going to be done in 3 months, or do I have to spend another 2 years on it?
Well, there's more WoW stuff than that. There's like the really, really animated GIFs and everything that are just really out there kind of thing. And like that kind of thing is also really WoW. Like anything that you as a developer look at and you go, wow, as we'll do an analogy here to a movie. When I was talking to another developer, to where it was a Austin Powers movie, the one where he was a guru, the love guru.
Yeah.
And you remember when they were talking about I want a damn moment?
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of thing. Save the stuff that makes you go, damn. For your last several months. Mm-hmm. You want to keep those damn moments for the last months, and but you can release the other stuff and do marketing with that, pre the last like 5 months or so that you want to market hard in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Draken. Yeah, and again, it's very hard for a developer to know just how much you want to put out there. As, again, you don't want to be revealing your best stuff and you still have no idea what your game is going to be. And of course, it's very important. I think we shouldn't have to say this, but I think we do. You don't want to do false marketing with your game as an indie developer. Don't tell me this is going to be an 80-hour long campaign where every choice matters, and I get, a 3 to 5 hour long visual novel game.
Oh, why don't you want to do that? Tell us.
Mm-hmm. Because consumers don't like it when they're lied to with marketing.
Who would have guessed?
Yeah. And unless you have, EA money that you can use to smooth things over with, you're not going to get away from it.
Just Diablo trailer.
Yeah, unless you can make a Diablo 4 trailer in one day, don't do it.
Yeah, and you have the rights to do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, if you're already screwing up with with false advertising, you can just pretend you have the rights. I mean, nothing bad can happen there.
No, nobody could sue you or anything like that.
Episode 1 of what, like 18 they're going to probably do?
I heard it was going to be more like 40.
I am glad I am dodging that bullet.
I'm glad I am too, but it's still like, nips at, it sours my soul.
Now, speaking about AAA marketing, one thing that I've seen some developers do that I do enjoy is that they will release, kind of make different trailers based on different aspects of selling their game. Atlas and Sega have done this with some of their series, where they'll have, this is the story trailer, and this is the gameplay trailer. I know they do that heavily with the Yakuza series, that they'll have one trailer that just shows, Kiryu just beating up people and doing all crazy minigames, and then they'll have, the super serious dramatic trailer showing what the story is going to be. And again, they're doing this when they have a lot of the game figured out. But it's a great way to kind of, again, do that breadcrumb effect of, here's something really amazing. You like watching this? Well, here's another really amazing thing. And then, of course, when it's getting even closer to release, they'll have, their, final preview release trailer for the game.
Yeah. I mean, we did the same thing for our last game, and, we got to do the word of the day, Chromasia. So, I like that thing too, personally. Like, that's why I did it, kind of thing. But, like, obviously it didn't work out for us, but that's another issue rather than the trailer and more of our aesthetics. And that's the thing is when you're marketing your game, if your game does not have really good aesthetics, your marketing campaign, you might as well just not even bother. You might as well not even market, because if your aesthetics are not good, then everything you market is almost going to be anti-marketing, and you're just going to be wasting money and time. Because I mean, that happened to me. I spent so long marketing Chromasia, like 6 months or so, and like just everybody ignoring me, even like storefronts, kind of just treated me badly, kind of thing. And like so many people like just crapped all over me and everything. And the if you don't have your aesthetics together, your marketing is going to go really, really badly. And really, really badly.
And this is why we, either next week or one of our videos, we need to discuss aesthetics when it comes to video games. Because it is so much a major factor of that line between, a game that fails and a game that succeeds for a lot of developers.
Yeah. And maybe we'll do that next week. But the thing is even getting good aesthetics is not a guaranteed success,
Nope.
or even remotely close to it. I mean, we bought mini games over the last few days that have had really good aesthetics that are being removed from Steam. And if you look at almost all of them, they had been up there for most of them actually released. It seemed like, ironically, right around the time that Chromasia released, around the surprise Steam summer sale that Steam didn't notify anybody of.
Yeah.
And you look at them, and even them, they're visually pleasing and everything, and they have release dates very similar to mine, and they have flopped very hard. Like they had really good reviews and everything, just like I did. They had everything where I was missing aesthetics, but they had everything. But they released in the same time frame as I did, and they fell flat on their face because that was a bad time to. Steam made that a bad time to release your game.
And part of that problem, again, going back to kind of marketing your game, is that you can't market gameplay, or at least you can't market it the same way as aesthetics. Like if you show somebody, again, if you showed somebody who's never played a Skea game, entire rows of stats and, going to the item world and all that, they're going to be like, what the hell am I looking at here? What is all this? You show that to a hardcore fan, and they're going to be like, oh my god, I can't wait. I love this in the previous games. I'm going to play it in this one.
Yep. And the thing is like, even like marketing mechanics is just so hard on its own, because like you can, to explain a mechanic in enough depth that the people know what it is. That's basically the entire trailer right there.
Yeah.
That's a entire trailer for one single mechanic.
And don't forget that if you're showing mechanics, you're still showing the aesthetics of your game, because you're showing gameplay. So if your game still looks horrible, then you're kind of killing it both ways. It's a boring trailer, and it's a bad-looking boring trailer.
Yep. Despite how well it did the mechanics. Like, I mean, like, generally, like, mechanic-wise, you're generally better off either only targeting one very special mechanic that really makes your game stand out, not doing anything with the mechanics at all, or just talking about different systems that you have, so that way that people who do know right off the top of their head what the systems are roughly, they'll get it and they'll be like, okay, I know what this is what, kind of thing. But generally, like, it's best to not even do anything on the mechanics, and that's really sad, because like I know myself personally, like I want to play a game for its gameplay, not its graphical appeal, but like the trailer that's going to sell you on buying the game is, in a vast majority of the cases, just aesthetics. And that is quite sad, honestly.
And again, it's the all black hole effect that goes into marketing. That if your game doesn't have any kind of pop to it, if you can't show that to people, then you have, again, this is kind of why we've seen the rise of YouTubers and Let's Players as a secondary form of marketing. That a YouTuber or streamer, they don't give a damn about your trailers. They don't care about concept art. They don't care about watching a 5-minute teaser. They want to use your game for their footage. Now, in my cases, I'm going to play your game and talk about it. In cases like PewDiePie, Markiplier, and so on, it's just raising awareness for that game. And you can really, it's become, again, a very attractive way of getting your game out there. But again, getting your game in front of YouTubers, that's another topic.
Indeed, it is. But yeah, I mean, your trailer is going to be either purely or almost purely graphical aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with your screenshots.
Oh, yes.
And it's your trailer and your screenshots that are what's selling your game. So if your aesthetics aren't there, then that means your screenshot's there, which means your trailer's not there, which means there is absolutely nothing there that's selling your game.
Mm-hmm.
So you go market with a whole bunch of nothing, and you're going to get a whole bunch of nothing, if not insults.
Yeah.
Because people will gladly take something with not bad aesthetics, but not good aesthetics, and they will gladly rag on it. They'll call it an asset flip. They'll call it a cheap piece of garbage. They'll say this is a no effort crap show, and these are not exact quotes that I pulled from anywhere on my Steam or anything.
Yeah.
They will say all kinds of nasty things to you, and it doesn't even have to be bad aesthetics. It can be just not great.
Yep. I mean, we're going to switch to our weird game segment in probably the next few minutes, and we're going to see probably plenty examples of screenshots like that. Bonus points if the screenshot is just completely, like so dark you can't even make out what the image is.
Should we simulate people on Steam when we're doing it, kind of thing, and say like, oh, this is a no effort crap show. This is an asset flip. This is. Should we do that during the? We probably shouldn't, but
nah.
It would, like there is a certain set of people on Steam that will completely rag on anyone that they don't see. They will tell you, get off of Steam, stop cluttering up the storefront, let the good games come out.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, this is a good game, but it just doesn't have the graphical appeal.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do not have the graphical appeal, you're seeing on Steam and many other platforms as a shit show that nobody cares about.
Yep.
Doesn't matter how good your gameplay is, doesn't matter how good your story is, doesn't matter how good literally everything else is. It could be literally a perfect game except for alright aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
And they will rip you a new one and you will sell nothing.
Yeah. And it looks like Viola Draken has 21 sales right now. And they've been out since...
reviews?
Oh yeah, 21 reviews. And it's been out almost a year. Probably, I think, 10 months right now.
Yeah, that sounds like a failure right there.
Don't know when it's going to be coming out of early access, though. So we'll see. But yeah, again, and this will be, I think, our final point. Then we'll move on to weird games. That marketing, like any aspect of your game, is kind of that, perpetual motion machine. That if it works, it will allow you to do more marketing, which should keep going and going and going. And when that positive feedback loop takes effect, it can make your game be that success. And a lot of people don't understand, again, the sheer amount of work that goes into marketing a game. Like we've said many times over, the general consumer, reviewers, even though they're game developers, they only see what's happening right now. They'll see that they'll see a game, being covered by PewDiePie, or IGN's doing a review of it, and again think, that's why that game succeeded. When again, that's not the case. That is the result of them doing all the marketing and putting all the legwork in the first place.
Yep, it's causality versus I forget the how that went. Do you remember it?
No, I know what you're saying though.
But yeah, that's exactly what that is. And another thing that the how much marketing depends on aesthetics. Like the AAA have, very widely long ago found out about that, and the they don't even bother putting gameplay in their gameplay trailers. They just put purely pre-rendered, absolutely beautiful aesthetic, pre-rendered, cutscenes and stuff in their movies and everything, because that is the highest tier of visual aesthetic. And I'm not saying you should aim for that, but definitely not saying you should aim for a non-gameplay trailer of a gameplay trailer kind of thing. But like, it does work for AAA, and it's out of the budget for pretty much all indies, pretty much. But there is a limited point that you can do it as an indie, and I'm going to intend on doing something along that lines. But it's not just for a trailer; it's for the intro of the game itself too. Yeah, there it is with Dr. Flop. Dr. Flop got it.
Yeah.
Correlation versus causation.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the sheer amount of CG and all that stuff, that level of aesthetics really sells a game, and you can tell it by how much AAA games tend to sell.
Mm-hmm.
But they also have their name, so it's not just that.
Yeah.
Although one could argue that their name is a negative aspect to it, but only to some people. To some people, it's not a negative aspect. To some people, Blizzard isn't the company that endorsed China and all of its bullcrap. Blizzard is the god of video games. They made Diablo 2, so they're the god for as long as we can see forward. And don't get me wrong, Diablo 2 was one of my favorite games of all times. I wouldn't touch Diablo 3 or 4. Would not touch it.
All right. So I think with that, let's move on to our weird games, and then we will discuss pitching your game. Because that, I think, is another very big point about marketing as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, let me pull up the footage here.
Although pitching your game is sort of like pre-marketing.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, we have a early winner here for probably title of the stream.
What do we got?
Right there.
The Goth Girlfriend Simulator.
Mm-hmm.
That is big.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going to, name your title that, you might as well go all in, right?
Yeah, you got to go big or go home.
Mm. Let's see.
And Jack knew this day would come.
Mm-hmm. I knew he would be watching. Let's see. What do we have? Left on read? Choice? Wait, what? Choice-driven narrative platformer about the harsh realities of modern-age communication. Whew. So is it a Metroidvania?
It sounds like it. And let's look at the graphical aesthetics here. Does anybody from seeing these screenshots want to buy this game?
Mm.
It's a bunch of speech bubbles and this. I mean, yeah, it sort of tells you that's a narrative game, but it's a narrative platformer, and you see your square jumping over the text boxes, and it's like, okay. They sort of got a mechanic in there, but like not much of one. But like, that's a perfect example of what not to do.
Here's another
They
one.
did.
Toilet Paper Crisis Simulator 2020.
Oh, that one. That one is absolutely, game of the year. We should get it right now.
Mm-mm-mm. Space War Machine. Corona Girls? Oh, jeez.
Oh, Corona Girls. That sounds like a really good one.
Mm-hmm. Start. And now, after we did that thing last week about prologues, everybody's doing a prologue.
Yeah, apparently prologues are, uh, blowing up right now. Apparently, because Tim even made a video about it.
See, are we gonna get any credit for it?
Probably not.
No.
He made a video of it right after we did, but he was talking about how they were blowing up and how a lot of the prologues are actually low quality.
Mm. Now, this is a different. I mean, this has a really nice aesthetic to it.
Yeah, it does. It's not graphically. It's not. It doesn't have a lot of graphical horsepower, but it does have a graphical aesthetic to it. And it's the aesthetics that matter, not the horsepower of the graphics.
Yeah.
Horsepower can help, but it can also hurt. Like when you go for an ultra realistic game, like you look at those games 3 to 6 months later and they look like crap. Because technology advances really, really fast, and realistic style is a lack of style, is what that is.
Unfortunately, a rhythm-based game, I am like that one we played a few weeks ago. That is not a game I'm going to be good at.
Yeah, need to get good at
it. Virtua Verse. What's this? Huh? This one's a really good aesthetic.
Oh yeah, that's a very good aesthetic. Very cyberpunky. It probably is cyberpunk.
Let's see. Potential, Nathan Outsider. Living off the grid. The only problem is that I don't know what this gameplay is. It seems like this is going to be just a pure adventure game.
There's no telling. Does it say anything about genres?
Other than it's an adventure game and an indie game.
Then it's probably just a adventure game.
Yeah, well, it could be interesting. Again, very... you look at this screenshot, you can tell a lot of work was put into the art of this game.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily a ton of work. Like you could easily make something that looks a lot worse that took a lot more work to put into it. Not about the time you spent on it. It's about the end aesthetic of what you put into it.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of games that have absolutely beautiful aesthetics and they only use a single color. Just purely red or purely blue.
And now we have a game that looks like this.
Yeah, and that has no aesthetics at all.
Just nondescript environments.
Yeah, and it also feels like an asset flip.
And
it very well could be, but it could be somebody who just got a bunch of, just used store assets and then made a legitimate game underneath.
Let's see, what's this?
I can almost guarantee they're all store assets, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's an asset flip.
So this one definitely has bright colors to it, but there's something very...
out.
There's something kind of low quality about these screenshots. You can see the gun. Again, it's just like taking still images of the game, and the gun doesn't move.
No, I don't think you can really help that so much with the genre of an FPS.
This looks kind of like Slime Rancher to me.
Yeah, it does. I would say it looks pretty decent. It doesn't look amazing, but it looks decent, passable.
Wait, I'm confused. They don't have a publisher, they have a promoter, which is the National Westminster Bank.
That's weird.
Let's get funded by a
It's a
bank.
free-to-play game.
Hmm.
Oh, that's weird.
Hmm.
Oh, no, I just got an idea.
Mm-mm.
Think about Monster Rancher or Slime Rancher,
Mm-hmm.
but when it was like if it was filled with loot boxes and bad monetization,
Uh,
and it was free to play.
uh,
That's the thought that just came into my mind with that one,
mm-mm.
and it very well could be like that. It could also not be like that, but we know it's free to play.
Dun dun. Oh,
They
here's a
could.
game I'm sure will do well. Construct your dream brewery.
Those aesthetics lack.
Yeah.
They're the mismatch too.
Sounds like it could be an interesting idea.
Yeah. Like if you look at the machinery and stuff and compare that to like the
People.
building and the people,
Mm-hmm.
like it looks like three different artists worked on it. One artist did all the machinery, one artist did all the people, and one
Mm-hmm.
artist did all the building stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's causes them to clash against each other, which hurts your aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it when it clashes against each other, it hurts your, it makes, all your aesthetics may look good on their own, like ours did,
Mm-hmm.
but together they look like crap because they clash.
I mean, right here, what I have on the screen, this is a horrible screenshot.
Oh, well, what? You don't want to see a black screenshot? You don't want to see a black
And it says
screenshot of the
thirsty.
black dude? Oh, you're thirsty. Well, get good at drinking Dr. Brown then.
And this has that kind of acid flip look to it to me.
Yeah, it does. Especially the characters. The characters especially seem really, really cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Like the other stuff doesn't seem so cheap, but the characters seem so cheap.
Mm-hmm. Let's see, what is this? This looks kind of interesting.
Yeah, it does. I'm still trying to figure out what it is.
I think it's a management game or single player strategy game.
It definitely has the aesthetics,
Yeah.
and you can look at it and see that there is. I wouldn't say no effort into or little effort in the art, but like, you can see like a lot of the art is just a single color kind of
Mm-hmm.
thing, and that believe it or not, that still did take a very lot of work to get all that stuff to work together.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it's very simple, minimalistic, and it all matches. It doesn't clash, and it
Yep.
looked really good together. And it's still a good bit of work, but it wasn't as much work as like probably that cyberpunk looking game we looked at earlier.
Yeah. And
Because
again, like that's the thing about like, when we talk about aesthetics and even just like getting your game to look appealing. That when you do it right, most of the time it doesn't look like you did anything at all. But it it always comes out looking better than the sum of its parts.
hmm because if everything matches up well together, then everything is going to improve each other.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's going to multiply each other. Where if things don't match, everything is going to divide each other. Like what was that one RPG game that we were really kind of excited about, and then we played it, and it was like, oh, the characters just do not match at
That
all.
Fell Seal the Orbital game?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the art in that game was really good. The characters were really good. The backgrounds were really good. All of it was really good, but the characters clashed with the backgrounds and everything else. Everything clashed with each other, and it just
Mm-hmm.
it took something really good, divided by something really good, and divided that by something really good, giving you a really subpar result.
Yeah.
Where you could take something that's meh times meh, and end up with something amazing in the end.
Why are they saying promoter instead of publisher now? It's weird. Oof. This
That
looks
might
like
just be a Key Miller thing.
This looks like
I
kind of
don't
like a
know.
mobile game that was ported. It's like how these buttons, how this UI looks.
Yeah. Or somebody that doesn't know anything about UI.
Oh, good. This game, which I don't want to say the name of, or I'll get demoted by YouTube.
What about that Nico game?
I don't know. That could also be trouble.
It probably is. But Draken would be in for that kind of trouble.
Dungeon Endless is coming to the consoles. Fisherman Classic. Idle Big Devil Idle RPG. Idle said twice. Make sure wherever your title is going to be for Project Tri, you got to include Cyber and Neon at least 5 times in it.
Yeah, there we go.
Cyber, Neon Cards,
Cyber,
Neon Cyber.
Cyber.
Nazi Labs, Pyro Fighters. I was not expecting that from the thumbnail. Wait, how's it a scrolling space shooter with platforming physics?
I don't know. Draken really wants you to go back to Nico. Click on it.
Let's see. Fight for the what? What the hell is this?
What is that line? May you find a book in this place.
Yeah, what? This looks like it's an early access game. You're like, wait, they just repeated this. A library battle simulation.
And this is a game for Josh right here. You can simulate all your library battles on here.
Here's
like
my
that
problem.
One time that the librarian was like asking if you, would she ask like if you were telling how games promote violence or something?
Yeah, there we go. Wait a minute, is this from the same developer as that other game I'm thinking of? That it mentions Lobotomia Corporation, which was that very weird management sim. Here's my big concern. I am not seeing, like, well, for one thing, all the text is in Japanese. Is this art mismatching to you?
Yes. At least I think so. It also seems really zoomed back from the characters. Probably because the characters don't look very good.
Yeah, they don't. I think I'm going to give that one a wait and see. Alright, for Draken, let's see. I'm getting ready with the button. It's not as bad as I thought, but the game contains a free DLC. I'm afraid of what that free DLC is.
You should get it and find out what that free DLC is live on stream.
Yeah, let's do that. That won't get me into any trouble.
No, not at all.
Let's see.
There you go, Draken. He looked at it.
What the hell is this? Side scroll. Side scroll? Do you mean side scroller? Play the role of a strong and beautiful woman / she-wolf. Okay. Wait, why are there episodes?
So is she a woman or is she a she-wolf?
Why is shift the jump button and not space?
Because space would make too much sense.
Oh my. Okay, here's another bit of marketing. Don't put as your marketing blurb your entire control menu screen.
Well, he probably put it there because he probably has nothing in game that tells you what the controls are.
Oh my god.
I mean, people tend to do that on game jams
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, game jams you really don't have time to kind of implement tutorials or any kind of thing like that.
Mm.
So they normally just, game jam people usually just list their controls and whatnot in their description. And
I
those
don't.
aesthetics just do not match.
Ugh. Let's see. Brother, save him. Hardcore platformer.
Well,
Space is
this
too
is a game for
casual.
Josh.
Can you prove that you are a good player?
Can
Mm-mm.
you, Josh?
I
Can you
don't know.
get good? I know,
Brother.
and the answer is no. You can't get good.
Oh, your brother Jarl got into trouble. Ooh, more than 20 levels. Mm.
That's a heck of a name. Wait, go down there and look at those spikes again. That screenshot down there
Mm-hmm.
with the spikes. Those all those triangles are not the same.
Yeah, I'm noticing that. You could just copy pasted.
Yeah. It might be because of scaling, in which case they made horrible scaling choices.
Mm.
It probably is because of scaling
Mm. Mm.
in the
Mm.
programming.
What is this? Salmon raws. The art's not too bad on this one.
It seems mismatched.
You mean
The
like?
enemy
Yeah.
the enemies don't match the characters.
Mm. Seems
Well,
to be.
everything matches but the characters. The characters stand out.
Yeah.
And I mean, you want that to a certain point, but you don't want it that badly.
You don't. This doesn't look like an RPG Maker game, does it?
It
Eh.
it could be.
Eh.
It actually, now looking at it, it probably is, but it's not. It doesn't look like it's a low effort RPG Maker
Mm-hmm.
game. It looks like they actually put some effort into it, so it might be worthwhile.
We'll see. We're not seeing any like solid winners this week, unfortunately.
Not yet, anyway.
Natural. What? What is his name? Naturalia. That's a title
Natural,
people can search easily.
natural force determination is the name of the game.
Based on 1930s cartoon style, tells the story of 6 animals over the course of 12 levels. What? Wait, so is this just an endless runner?
Could be.
Huh? It definitely has a unified aesthetic, but is it a good one?
No, I would say no. It looks like they were trying to go for like a very cheap version of Cuphead.
Hmm. But Cuphead was not cheap to make at all.
Yeah, like I said, a very cheap version of Cuphead is looks like what they were trying to do. And I bet you that a big part of Cuphead is its animations, and I bet you they did not get the animations.
Oh, good. You know it's a visual novel game because it says it has over 8,000 words and over 55,000 characters.
Could be a a my mind's on the fritz.
I do like this
A
line. An average of 9.2. Wait, that's 9,2 words and 68 characters per dialogue box. They are getting very specific. Mm.
what is that dang engine that took
Trine.
space? Yeah, it could be a Twine game.
Let's see. Late bending puzzles.
That seems something you're familiar with.
Mm-hmm. You want to
like
find?
that rope bending puzzle game,
Oh God.
but with white this time.
Hmm. Could be interesting.
Yeah, it could be. I'd give it a try.
Let's see. Get Over Blood. Well, I was not expecting. Ooh. You getting a mismatch vibe out of this one?
I'm getting asset flip vibe out of this one.
How
All
many
that blood
red
looks like,
flares? Red flags.
yeah, all that blood looks like stuff you get off the Unity store. It looks like stuff that whatchamacallit, the people that sued Jim Sterling. Uh,
Slaughtering grounds.
yeah, it looks like slaughtering ground kind of blood.
And notice how, like, some of the rooms aren't really meshing right. Or they're not, like it's like just like hanging out over here.
And it also like looks like all the screenshots are from the same exact level,
Mm.
making it look like it has no other levels, and it very well could not. Yes, so many red flags going up on it.
The background art in this game doesn't look too bad. How is this an RPG and a strategy game?
Wow.
This will be a great Call of Duty clone, isn't it?
Yeah, there we go.
Well, I
The
will.
only thing I have issue with their aesthetics is that big black area on some of their terrain.
Yeah, that should be like filled
They're
in like ground of some kind.
yeah, they should have a ground of some kind, like they do in that little one.
It's a game developed by a high schooler.
That sets up a red flag right there.
And yet, this high schooler game has more unified aesthetic than some of the games we've seen from studios.
Quote unquote studios.
Mm-hmm. Alright, one more page and then we will move on. Geologic Dream State. GGG Collection Coin Dice Simulator?
But no consumer cares if you're in high school
Yeah.
or if it took you 200 years to make your game or if you spent all the money on it or any of that stuff. They don't care.
Well, this game has an aesthetic to it, but it's kind of hard on your eyes, I think.
Yeah.
You gotta be
Definitely.
really careful about like neon and very bright colors in these games.
Yeah. I know nothing about that with the
Nah.
neon based game.
Let's see. Elliot and the Musical Journey. Ooh, music theme levels. Ooh, dynamic flute playing. That's a really good one.
That
Avoiding
sounds like
enemies.
music puzzles.
Oh, good.
It's a game for Josh.
Oh, yes. Like that one with the giraffe and Annika with the dancing battles.
The aesthetics, the aesthetics are lacking.
Eh,
Like the character clashes against the background.
it's very plain looking.
Yeah, and there's no
There's no texture.
texture to the ground.
Yeah.
Like you can go for that bare minimum kind of thing, but you need to have a bare minimum, not just a single color.
Mm-hmm. Whatever a land. 20-minute adventure. Hand-painted point-and-click adventure game with a branching dialogue system. Non-linear gameplay with various endings. Huh. Do you like the character models in this?
I mean, they're stylish. Like I don't personally like them, but like I can see where this is not a bad aesthetic or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not to my taste. But to be fair, a lot of characters are not to my taste. Especially some famous ones from what's his name?
M.M. McMillan?
No. The they have Double Fine.
Uh,
Like I hate pretty much every character Double Fine has ever made. Like,
Dr. Decker has their new game coming out.
it's got a good visual appeal, but like I just do not like the character designs at all.
They still don't want me to be a Corpse 3 in one of their games.
Why don't you try for Corpse 2?
Nah, that's too much. I don't want that
What about
pressure.
Corpse 4? How about Corpse 4?
Maybe. We'll put in 4. Okay, and I think that is... Yeah, so nothing I think really stand out this week.
Nope. What about Design Girl Team?
It is another one I'm afraid to click on. Captain Disaster in the Dark Side of the Moon. What the hell?
I have a feeling that the Design Girl Team is probably fine.
What about this game?
No. And they had the Bork Cube, and I think they borked the entire graphics.
Mm-hmm. Alright, let's see.
That borking of the graphics was just another brick in the wall for them.
Mm-hmm. Wait.
Is this
what?
a soccer game?
This is a game designed by different girls to challenge obstacle games? What?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure English was not their...
Each girl adds
Third
game
language.
action and interaction. Action and interaction. That's good.
English was not their first or second language.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure.
Each
Probably
level
not
is
even their third.
Each level is designed by a girl designer. Each game is different. Each level increases the difficulty of win. Wait. Each level provides a different number of footballs. After the number of footballs is consumed, the game is over. Guess we're eating footballs.
Who wants to consume some footballs?
There we go.
You need to start a straw poll, and we need to put it up on the Discord. Who wants to consume a football?
Yeah, exactly. Well, that wasn't what I was expecting, which is good, but... Ugh.
It also wasn't what you were expecting.
Yeah. Better and worse. But
Yeah.
with that, let's get to our final topic for this week, and that's going to be pitching your game. And when we talk about this, we're referring to pitching it into a publisher, to Kickstarter, basically being able to promote your game or get somebody interested in it. And this is another one of those topics that can be very tough for new developers in terms of what do you tell somebody about your game and how you present it in a way that's going to get somebody excited.
Yeah, and we talked about this last week just slightly on our talk about the demo and prologue and everything, and we were like, and then there's this step of it, which is just this whole other topic. So we're doing that topic now, which also feeds into the marketing kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're pitching to Kickstarter, pitching a pitch on Kickstarter, trying to get crowdfunding, or pitching it to a publisher trying to get funding that way, you need very specific things. You need the game to be very polished, very wow. You need to make it where anybody who sees the trailer or plays the gameplay, if you have a demo, more than likely if you're going with a publisher, you're going to have a demo, not necessarily on Kickstarter, but like whatever it is, it needs to absolutely wow, like all the time. And you need to probably even build a special version of your game just for that. You don't want to give them, the wow factor here and then have them accidentally stumble into another area and it's like, oh, that area is
not done yet.
very incomplete. Yeah, and this area has squares for enemies, and little cubes, and the trees are just a
Mm-hmm.
flat texture where the other ones have like all this depth and everything. You don't want them seeing that. You want them to see that this game is amazing. There's nothing unfinished here. There's nothing unpolished here. This is just ready to go. You just need more funding
To make this
so you can
better.
get more of it.
Yeah. And again, like as we've said, you can't go up to anyone and say, I have a crazy idea for this video game. I have nothing done, but if you give me $30,000, I'll make this great game.
And I have no experience.
Or a team.
Yeah. Or any real knowledge on the thing.
But give me $30,000 and I'll make it.
Exactly.
And people these days, like when we're talking about pitching your game, like we said, this is both with a Kickstarter and a publisher. This is not the same as an early access title. Like, we're not expecting, or nobody expects your game to be 100% done. As in, my game is 99% done, and I just need money to finish that 1%. But like Shark said, what you're showing should be the absolute best version of what you have available.
Yeah, it should be better than what you have available, because it should be its own section and have just be a combination of all the best things you have, and make go out of your way to make it extra good, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like and you want it as close to the finished product as possible. You're trying to make a little section of your game as close to the final product as you can. And of course, the farther along in development you are, the easier this is. But getting funding is getting very far in development without funding is very, very hard.
Yeah, it's again that kind of catch-22, that you need money to make your game polished and well refined, but you need a well refined and polished game in order to get the money.
Exactly.
Just do that. We just solved game development right there.
Yeah, it's the old the old pondering of, hey, I need credit so I can buy a house. So let me go get a credit card. Well, to get a credit card, you need credit.
Mm-hmm.
To get a credit card, to get credit, you need a credit card. But to get credit, you need a credit card.
Mm-hmm.
And you just end up in that endless loop of of just never getting anywhere until some random person with no care just sends you a random credit card, and you're like, okay.
And
you pretty much have to wait for that one random act to happen to kickstart you into a world of credit, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And as Shark said, like when you're pitching your game to somebody, what we're looking for is essentially, again, a self-contained, almost perfect encapsulation of your game, which again, it sounds very hard to do because it is. People want to see essentially what you've done so far. Yeah, they want to see a finished game, even though there is no finished game.
Mm-hmm. They want to see a finished game, even though it's not finished. So you need to show them a finished game, but a very, very small slice of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or as close as you can get to one. So like all your mechanics don't need to be in there, but you need to get a lot of them in there. You don't need all your art in there because it's only going to be a small section of the game, but you need every bit of that section fully done with art. You don't need all your animations done, but you need every animation that is in that area done. You need everything in that area as done as you think it can be,
Yeah,
and it won't be done either, because unless you're like 75% of the way into development or something like that, because the thing is you'll be you'll have playtesters go through and they'll play it, and then they'll be like, they'll be putting out a whole bunch of suggestions and everything, and then you'll probably end up putting several of those into your game, which means that thing you gave them originally wasn't the final kind of thing. But you need to make it as close to final as you can possibly make it. And the best way to do that is do as much development as you can before going to that point, before aiming for a Kickstarter or a publisher kind of thing. Ideally, you would be 75% done with the game before you went for that, but the issue is getting 75% of the funds before you go to a publisher.
Yeah. And like as Shark just said, we need to expand, or we need to clarify this, just make sure everyone's on the same page. You don't want placeholder art when you're trying to pitch your game to somebody. Again, everything that is in this footage, whether it's a minute long, 3 minutes long, 20 seconds, should be as close to perfection as you reasonably can do at that time. Because you don't want somebody, you won't be pitching it to a publisher and say, oh, we had this great idea, and then all this art is not even done, or we have no idea what it's going to look like right now. But give us money.
Yeah. What I've seen a lot of more of indies do, the successful indies, and by successful indies, I mean not they were commercially successful with their game, but that they were able to get funding, or they were very likely to get funding. What they did is they hired a programmer, or had one on staff kind of thing. They made up as many mechanics as they could. They hired, normally they need the money for an artist, but they would get an artist to come in and just do basically a sample kind of thing. They would pay them for like a very big sample kind of thing. Like, we need every asset that's going to be in this. We keep our assets that's going to be in this demo to to the as minimum as we can, but we don't want the world to be empty kind of thing. We don't want to kill the aesthetics because of a lack of things in there. But they manage the scope to make it as small as possible, so that they need to pay for as little as that artwork as they can, and then they pay depending on how much they the artwork style, all this other stuff, and how long it's going to actually take to make. They pay them anywhere between probably $500 and $200,000 to make this art for this section of the game. And then they take that and they build that complete demo section basically of the game, and they get as many mechanics, and they do as much testing as they can on that section. They go over this demo is going to be the full game kind of thing. That's basically what you got to treat it as. Is this demo is going to be the full game that gets us the funding for another full game that just adds on to what we've already built. Kind of thing. And you build that out, and you have to make it as close to finished as possible. Submit it.
And like we said, like in today's market, especially in today's market, people don't want an idea when you're pitching a game. Everybody in the world has an idea. I have 50, bubbling around my head right now. And there's that old stigma. There's that thing that people have said, I don't want to show my game to people because I'm afraid somebody's going to steal it. And as we've said many times over, it's the implementation that is going to make or break a title. And if you can't show somebody that you can take this idea beyond just a thought in your head, nobody's going to give you the time of day anymore.
Yeah. Not to mention, when it comes to, idea people kind of thing, like, oftentimes you run into people who have no idea of their idea, what it even is. They'll say, like I've run into so many people that say, I have this great idea for a game. Well, what is it? It's a tactical RPG with cyberpunk characters in it. It was like, and that was it.
Yeah, you need.
That's not an idea for a game. That's a genre and
Mm-hmm.
a theme. You can easily go on to there's plenty of places on the internet you can go on and just roll a random dice and get a theme and a genre like it's not worth. That's not worth anything. That is worth less than anything because you can random gen that stuff very very easily. Like you can make a
Mm-hmm.
there's many dice rollers out there already to just roll a genre and roll a theme.
It reminds me. There is a joke. This is one of my favorite lines in the. I think it was a trailer for Saints Row 4 or one of the Saints Saint Row game, where the guy's like telling the main character goes, "So what's the plan?" He's like, "We're going to kill the aliens and take back the country." And the guy goes, "That's a goal, not a plan."
Mm.
Yeah. There's
also that kind of thing for like D&D. Like you can, there's these, random generators to random generate a quest and a character for that quest. So to be like a lizard person needs their help, extinguishing rats out of their basement kind of thing, and that's the quest. Or it could be like, a demon needs your help, killing the angelic creatures that have invaded hell.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mad
can come up
libs.
with random generation. A dice roll can come up with stuff that is more creative than it's a tactical RPG with cyberpunk characters.
Mm-hmm.
Random generation can come up with something better than that. You're going to have to, for your idea, you're going to have to do better than random generation to even get a glimpse of starting in that kind of direction.
Yeah, just saying I'm gonna make a procedurally generated RPG. That's not a game idea.
Yeah, it's not.
You need to
That's
be. Now
it's a genre and a theme.
You can start with that. There's no problem saying that's your beginning. But I was talking to somebody. I had a little conference call with somebody yesterday, and we were trying to explain to them how a game works, like basically to a layman, how a game works. So you basically like the idea is that the environment would be the where, the scenario would be what am I doing, and the game design is the how. How am I doing this? And as a developer, you need to be able to explain to somebody. You need to have thought of the how of your game, saying that it's a platformer. Okay, well, what are you doing as a platformer? Am I going to be just jumping from platform to platform? Is there going to be shmup elements? Is it part RPG? You have to be able to explain and pitch to someone what makes your game different from every other game that's out there. And if you're talking to a publisher, why should they give you money over somebody else's pitch?
Yeah. And to get to Elrod's question there about your pitch, well, your pitch needs to be more than just a pitch. You need to definitely have a lot to show.
Mm-hmm.
You need, in the case of Kickstarter, you need a bare minimum of a full trailer and a bunch of screenshots. You probably a demo, a very very polished demo that you made that stuff, the trailer from and everything would be very beneficial there. It's not required, but it would be very beneficial, at least if it's good. And you got to make sure it's good if you're doing this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now for the publisher kind of thing, like if you don't have a demo, then you're pretty much done there.
Mm-hmm.
You need you might need a pitch to get them to, an elevator pitch to get yourself inside the door so that you can show off your trailer and your demo and all that kind of thing. But you don't need a pitch necessarily for the game. I mean, you will need like a proper. We talked before about the proper store pages on Steam and whatnot, and you will need stuff like that. Not the exact same, but along those same kind of lines for your Kickstarter page. And you'll need also stuff like that, but not the same, for your conversation with the publisher kind of thing. And so you need to have that kind of stuff ready too.
Mm-hmm. And to Elrud's point, we're not talking about an elevator pitch, I think, for this topic, because an elevator pitch is its own thing. We're talking about you're at the point where you are building something that you want to market or show people. Like,
we're talking about getting a publisher or a Kickstarter backing.
Yeah, like we're at the point that as a developer, you should have already done the basic legwork. You should have done a prototype. You should have, shown it to people or gotten some early feedback to say, hey, this is a great idea. And you're now the point where you want to say, I want to develop this further, but I'm going to need a whole lot of money and time to do that. And I need to show it to somebody to convince them to give me that money.
Yeah, and then you got to pitch your game to either Kickstarter, Indiegogo, X amount of publishers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, you're at the point where at this point, there should not be any uncertainty by you as to whether or not you want to make this game. Like, this is not the time to go, well, do I still want to make this? Maybe I'll change it. No. Like, this is where you should be 100% committed to this project under the assumption that you're going to get that money. You're going to get that funding you need to finish it. And in some cases, we've seen developers who failed Kickstarter, who failed publishing, and they still go on to make their game. But that's a different story for a different day.
Yeah.
And like,
it's not just an elevator pitch, because no elevator pitch is going to get you funding.
Yeah, like we're past that point. That could be a topic for another show as well, about the elevator pitch of a game. But
yeah,
what we're kind of focusing on for this topic is, how do you convince somebody that you're worthy of getting their money? And it is very hard. Like we're saying, you have to show somebody a finished game that's not finished.
Exactly.
That could be a title for a video. Show a finished game without being finished.
Yeah, that wouldn't be clickbait at all.
No. And like we were saying, I think another point about this is that this is another one of those issues when it comes to genres. And I think more importantly, who your intended market is. If you are making, for instance, let's say you're trying to pitch a casual game to a publisher. I don't know if PopCap is still making, but let's say somebody PopCap or PopCap adjacent. Your footage probably shouldn't be, of heads being ripped off, chainsaws, gratuitous nudity, stuff like that. If you're trying to market a very meaty strategy game, then you'll want a 2-minute teaser footage of nothing but, animation of, a cinematic trailer. And you have to be aware, and again, this goes to that ever popular point about research. You need to know what the market is. And I think this is another one of those misconceptions, especially for new developers who think that they're going to make the most unique original game. Every game out there has some kind of intended market for it. It could be a small market, it could be a gigantic market, but if you're trying to pitch a game as a product, you have to be able to get people who aren't yourself and your friends and family interested in it.
Heck, sometimes you fall into multiple markets.
Yep.
Kind of thing. Like my current game falls into multiple markets. Thank goodness, because otherwise, if it only fell into the big one, then it would be very unlikely to succeed. Like we fall into the very, very niche market of up until like a few weeks ago, I didn't think there was even a game about it, kind of thing. There was many games about it, but we're talking about Triple Triad / Tetra Master from the Final Fantasy mini games, and like a Shovel Knight did one of their expansions. What was it? The King of Cards.
Yep.
That had a mini game that was based off of those. And there's several mini games based off of those games.
Yeah.
But until a few weeks ago, I had never even seen a full game based off of that kind of thing. And then I've seen a full game based off of it not long ago that came off of Keymailer.
Yeah.
And it was not a good show.
But the point is that there is always a market for a game. You just need to figure it out and understand what they want. And there's definitely a discussion again about how mass market or how accessible your game is. But ultimately, if you're talking about pitching your game, you are focusing on your intended market. If you're making a real-time strategy game, you're not pitching your game to the hardcore JRPG audience, or the 2D platformer, or the Souls-like fans.
Yeah. And like I was saying, we have that very, very super niche audience that basically have never been served a game, essentially. Yeah. And then we have the massive audience of the card games, card game CCG genre kind of thing. And that is massive with almost pretty much only big players in it.
Yeah. And speaking about serving a niche market, look at Stardew Valley. Stardew Valley was intended to be Harvest Moon for the PC, where traditionally the PC didn't have that specific kind of gameplay to it. Racketeer.
Yeah.
And one of the beauties, I think this could possibly be a topic either for one of our videos or for another live show, is just how much kind of the globalization or the cross-platform play, I think, has really helped the game industry in like the last 5 or 6 years.
By cross-platform, what do you mean exactly?
Like releasing a game that's not console exclusive or PC exclusive, but being able to play like Japanese games on the PC. Like they've already announced Yakuza 7 is going to be on PC, I think, day one. Where 5 years ago, that wasn't going to be the case.
That's not cross-platform. That's just being on multiple platforms.
Yeah. But this idea that
platform would be where you could play people that were on PlayStation, and against somebody on Xbox, kind of thing.
Then probably more on the multi-platform appeal. That you never know where the market for these games will be. And we have seen games over the last 15, 20 years that probably could have succeeded if they were ported to the PC or vice versa. Because you never really know, as a developer, just where your market is going to lie. And there have been cases of games that became, underground hits months or even years after anyone thought the game was going to do well, because that niche audience finally found it and they propped it up.
Yeah. And another thing is you have to realize that the market is always changing. And that, like a year ago, putting your game on Switch was almost guaranteed to make it succeed because there was basically no games on the Switch.
Just like being on Steam 10 years ago.
And now they're putting out like 30-ish games a week on the Switch, and now the only way you can actually really be found, besides somebody really digging into it, is they don't have like any of these search features or anything, or any kind of genre dividing anything really on the Switch. they have the front page, and if you're not on the front page, good luck
You don't
finding.
exist.
Yeah,
Just
pretty
like
much.
the App Store.
And you're lucky to get on the front page at all.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, don't expect to be there more than a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So you have a couple weeks at best, if you can get up there, to make all of your sales. And then after that, you're done. Because now the Switch is being flooded with games.
Mm-hmm.
And a flooded marketplace is, you have to address it very, very differently than an unflooded one. And I bet you that we're going to hear horror stories of many,
Mm-hmm.
many developers going Switch exclusive. And, you know, because they heard that the Switch was such a good place to do it, you know, and they're going to be, you know, we're going to be hearing those horror stories for the next, I don't know, probably 5 years, you know, 3 minutes of development time and 2 years for this to really like hit all the GDCs kind of thing. Like,
yeah. And like we said, like from our last part, that it's no longer good enough for your game to exist. You know, people who say, if I just make a good game, people are going to buy it. And again, like when we talk about marketing, that is like 10 to 20 different subtopics in it right there.
So Brian asked,
Yeah.
is there anything that could be achieved with a publisher money / support that couldn't be achieved by a determined hobbyist supporting themselves with part-time work?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Because like that's like saying, is there anything I can achieve with half of my time that, you know, me full-time and, you know, my closest 2,000 friends could not accomplish better?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I think one of the big things, of course, is that a good publisher brings clout with them. You get their name, and that just by itself could be enough to determine the success or failure of a game.
Yeah, just don't have Gearbox do it.
Yeah. Again, like this was like for me, like this is one of the reasons why I went with a publisher for my books instead of self-publishing, because name recognition when it comes to marketing really does matter. In the book industry, for instance, there is a enormous difference between saying I'm a self-published author versus I am a published author. That somebody put their money on the line to get this made. Because anyone, just like with in some extent of the video game industry, given enough time and skill, anyone could theoretically make a video game. But just because you're able to make a game doesn't put it at that same level as if somebody is backing you, that somebody has you in their corner. And another thing a publisher can do, of course, is they can handle that marketing in of itself just by being your publisher. Now, obviously, they're going to spend money. They'll probably do promotional campaigns. What was that?
You got a good publisher.
Yeah,
if you got a good publisher, anyway.
Yeah, good publisher. All this is caveat with a good publisher.
Yeah, there's many bad publishers who, you know, will publish your game and do literally nothing but put it on the store page
and take money and take like 30% of your sales.
Yeah, we'll take the 30% of all your sales. We'll pay the $100 to get it on Steam. That's all we're doing. You know?
Yeah.
And, you know, good luck.
Yeah.
You know, but to Elrod's point, it's more than just, you know, which is back to what Brian was talking about. It's more than just quantity, because like you may be the best artist in the world, but you're also not the best programmer in the world. You're also not the best musician in the world. But if you have a team, you could potentially have all of that, you know, kind of thing. You are not, you know, well, unless you're, you know, like one person in the game industry, and even he's not, you know, and I'm referring to Concerned Ape. He's not even, you know, tier A in everything, because like he's not tier A in marketing or promotion, because he got a publisher, he got marketing, you know. He's good in art, he's good in programming, you know, he's good in, you know, music, you know, all that stuff, but he's not good in those things. And that is one of our most that is probably the game development most like A-leveled, A-tier, skilled in everything kind of person, and he's not even fully A quality in everything. I'm not A quality in art or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would say I'm pretty A quality in art and design. I mean, not art and design. I'm writing and design. I'm probably B tier in UI design. But like when it comes to art, I'm probably like C or D. When it comes to programming, I'm like F or F minus. And I'm pretty omni-talented myself, but I'm not that omni-talented. I'm like a 0 F in music. But like there are things that I have very limited capabilities of. And by recruiting, hiring a programmer on my team that really knows his stuff is absolutely priceless. Hiring a artist / character / background artist is absolutely key for me, because like then I get that A quality art in backgrounds and characters, and I get that A level programming, and I'm going to be hiring an A level musician / sound guy later to get that level kind of thing, and then we're going to have A level all the way across, and that's really what you want, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't get that solo pretty much.
Yep. You need, again, like the challenge and why the publisher can do so much for you is that a good publisher can basically handle a lot of that extra load, take it off your plate as a developer. And like we said, many developers don't like to do marketing. They don't like to do PR. They don't want to put together a teaser footage or, a sizzle reel of their game. And a good publisher can do all that for you. But again, here's that catch-22, that you need to be able to do that stuff in order to entice a publisher who can then do it for you after the fact.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically, this whole lesson or this whole topic is just a one giant catch-22.
Exactly.
You want to make a good video game? Well, make a really good game first, and then you can make a good game.
Yeah, and see, this whole catch-22 is the reason why I don't even fool with the publisher, because like I need that really good trailer and really good all this stuff to go to a publisher. But heck, if I already got all that stuff,
I was just about to say that.
I don't really need a publisher at that point. So, I'm not saying that I can't benefit from one, because there's funding that I could get to market my trailer out there on YouTube and all these other platforms. But I can still do that on my own. I just have to do it with less money. But if I can do it enough that the game makes money, then I can take that money and reinvest it and run more of them. And that's my plan, essentially.
Unless you if you need the clout of a publisher, like if you need somebody who can open up doors for you or get your game in front of the eyes of people like that, then yeah, they're going to help you out. But as Shark said, if the only reason you're going to go to a publisher is that you need them to do your marketing materials and stuff like that, most likely, unless you know somebody at that publishing house or that publishing department, I don't think you're going to get in.
Yeah, and that's sad, because the main reason for the publisher to exist in the beginning is that exact thing.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do that exact thing, if you have to do that exact thing to get in with the publishers, I mean, you're
mm-hmm.
You're basically just delivering them a paycheck on a platter. It's like, hey, would you take some of my money? You don't have to do anything. Just would you take it? Put your name on it.
Yeah, here, just take some of my money, and you don't have to do anything else for it.
Yeah, which is the reason why there's a lot of bad publishers out there
Yeah.
that literally just take your money and don't do anything with it.
But we are starting to, I think, run. Yeah, we're just about to hit 2 hours. So I think let's begin to wrap things up. So, for kind of like to sum up this topic, that if you're pitching your game to somebody, you need to pitch the absolute best version of what you have. If you only have, let's say, 3 minutes of quality, triple A or super amazing footage, then you only have 3 minutes to show somebody. You don't want somebody to see, again, like the alternate name for this topic is just Catch 22 game development. You don't want somebody to see all the stuff you haven't done yet or isn't finished.
Hey, is Catch 22 sexually extreme?
Technically, I guess. I guess it's kind of like that. But you need to be able to show somebody, at the end of the day, why they should care about your game and why should they trust you with their money. And if you don't have an answer for that, and in this case the answer is showing, really polished prototypes, something that you've done on your own without help from them, they're not going to trust you otherwise. Like we said, the days in which you can just go to a Kickstarter or, in some rare circumstance, go to a publisher and say, I have an idea, give me $100,000, it's not happening anymore.
Yeah. And the thing is that for, like, used to you could go on Kickstarter and, offer to make a thing of egg salad for yourself, make millions of dollars kind of thing. And then there was thousands of people that came behind them and did it, and they made absolutely nothing. And there was a time, and when I say a time, I mean there was that one singular time that had ever a chance at doing anything. And now that time is gone, just like your time of like, hey, I want to make a tactical RPG, cyberpunk game, give me, $200,000. Yeah, I mean that there was a time, one singular time where that worked. But that time is gone. It's past. It's no longer here. Markets change, publishers change, everything changes. That's kind of the theme here is everything changes. And as a game developer, if you're going to release a commercial game, not just a hobby project, but an actual commercial game, you have to be you have to be monitoring the market. You have to be aware of where it is now and where it's, you have to have forecasting ability to where it's going to go. And I was seeing a very much trend of cyberpunk being flooded all over the market, and it's cooled down now that cyberpunk has nixed their release for a while, but you can bet it's going to stir back up.
Yeah.
And
this is something I've seen from smaller developers as well, that they'll work on a game when there is no market for it, thinking that they'll be the first one to get it done. Turns out they're not, and they arrive with a game that they started first, but has appeared to be late because everyone else beat them to it.
And that would be the one kind of like thing with stealing your idea kind of thing. But the thing is you being late isn't the only reason why it failed. You being late is only one part of it. The big part of it is the other games did it better. Like we've seen examples of this to where there has been a certain game, a certain very big game called Fortnite that was late to the party, but they were vastly better than PUBG.
Mm-hmm.
So they ended up just completely crushing PUBG, even though they were late. So being late isn't the end all. You know, you don't want to be late,
Mm-hmm. But
but more than likely you're going to be.
but if you can show up with something that is, miles above what anybody else is doing in the market space, then you're golden in that aspect. But again, Epic is kind of the exception to these rules. We can't just say, just be like Epic and you'll be successful.
Yeah. And, you know, being above everybody else in that aspect is only one aspect that can potentially lead to success, kind of thing. Like, it won't lead to success, it can potentially lead to success. You can still absolutely fail that, kind of thing. You can do everything right, and you will still fail. Yeah, Fortnite was free, and that's one of its
Yeah.
strengths. When you have a free game, a free to play game, then your barrier to entry is them pushing a download button where when you're
Mm-hmm.
charging $30 or something for a game, you have the limitation of people who are willing to buy the game for $30.
Mm-hmm.
Despite a refund policy, not very many people are willing to put down 30, 40, however much dollars to try your game. And when you have a multiplayer only or focused game, getting player numbers are absolutely critical, kind of thing. And so it's almost like the more towards the multiplayer side your game is, the more it should be free to play, kind of thing. It's not a hard rule or anything, but it's kind of a generalization, because the more you depend on multiplayer, the more players you need, and
Mm-hmm.
it's easier to get players when it's free.
Yeah. And again, this will be our final point. We'll just be here for another hour. So, like, Blizzard and their heyday is one of the best examples of kind of being late to the party for a genre, but they create such a highly polished and accessible or market friendly take on it that nobody notices. Again, they were
Well,
not the first to do a CCG game or a MOBA or a team based shooter.
that was up until Diablo 3.
Yeah, like I said,
And then
Prime
after that
Blizzard.
point, they fell behind.
Mm-hmm. Caveat: Prime Blizzard there.
Yeah, Prime Blizzard. We have Prime Blizzard and Sub Blizzard.
Mm-hmm.
Deep Frozen
There we go.
Blizzard.
All right, but I think with that, let us wrap things up for this week. So I would like to thank everybody for tuning in. As always, if you want to follow me, I am on Twitter at GWBicer, and there are links to our Discord and Patreon link down below. And we do these shows every Sunday around 4:30 p.m. EDT.
And I'm Sharky, and you can find me on Discord, also my YouTube channel, and Twitter. And you can come find me, talk to me about game design and everything else. I like talking about that whenever I can, and I help out whoever I can on my Discord and whatnot. And you can also come and check out Project Triad and how amazing my cyberpunk, basically triple triad / Tetramaster / Magic the Gathering card game is coming along. And I think it's going to really be something. Like I know the gameplay is there. The gameplay is absolutely there, because we had testers playing the very dirt looking version of it for 6 hours straight and then begging for more the next day. The gameplay is there. The aesthetics, I think they're getting there. It's definitely looking really good, and I feel like it's if I do everything right, if I do my marketing right and do everything right, this game could be massive, like Magic the Gathering massive kind of thing. And you can join the Discord and find out about it and be in the know before anybody else even knows about it. Because right now, to the world, it's an invisible game. Nobody knows about it. It's just going to, all of a sudden phase into existence one day, and people are going to be like, oh, well, I just need to get PewDiePie to play my game and then I'll succeed, because PewDiePie will be playing the game probably at some point. But it won't be starting with PewDiePie. It started long ago, and PewDiePie probably ain't going to play it for a very long time if he ever plays it. But I'm assuming that, we're assuming that he does play it and whatnot. And, you're going to know about it way before anybody else.
And there are links to his Discord and Twitter in the link down below as well in our description.
And the YouTube channel. Mm-hmm. And the video series that Josh and I are working together on, besides this one, that's live every Sunday. The actual little mini series where we're helping out, we're doing a series on specific helping starting indies get into the industry, and it's going to be a long series because there's a lot of things you need as a starting indie. Mm-hmm. We've already recorded the first episode, but we have not gotten everything to put it up yet. It's mm-hmm. not edited and ready, and we still got a good bit of work to do on it. But when we post that, it's going to go up on both his YouTube, this YouTube channel and my YouTube channel. And right now, since my YouTube channel has, I think, 10 subscribers, it'll be going to mine first. So, by going to my Discord, my YouTube channel, you'll get the videos first, and then they'll come over here. And of course, you can watch both of them because they'll both be different, even though they'll still have a lot of the same content, because we're editing our own video, we're doing all kinds of different things separately. So it'll be a different video, but it'll be from the same material.
Mm-hmm. All right. But with that, I'm going to go have some cider punk myself, so you only get some nice soda there. And I'll be back later tonight for our regular game streams. Come back for delayed discussions on game design here and on game wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. Have a great rest of your Sunday, everybody, and we will talk again real soon.